Man, I thought those things went completely obsolete. But no, here in Charleston, they still have a phone booth. Isn't the Hiwassee River so beautiful, you guys? Anyway, I'm standing here on the bridge that connects Calhoun with Charleston. And it is very busy, you guys. But you know what? You know, it's fitting. Because during the early 1800s, around 1819, going before then, these were two worlds separated by a river. Calhoun was the U.S. It was the United States. It was the final edge of American frontier at the time. And over here, you had the land of the Cherokee Nation, or as it's presently known, Charleston. But way back when, in the days of 1819, going backwards a little bit more, this was known as Walker's Ferry, and it was run by John Walker. And at a time before this bridge was built, before the train bridge was built, his ferry was the only way that you could get from Charleston, the final frontier of the United States, to the land of the Cherokee. And anyway, guys, that is what became Charleston, which we are going to be talking about that today. And I want to reiterate again, it is very loud where I'm at right now. But anyway, you guys, as you all saw in my last video, I talked about the historic sites that were left over from the days of Omaha. Well, here in Charleston, formerly known as Walker's Ferry, this area of East Tennessee has an even more significant historical role in the Cherokee Nation, or within the Cherokee story. Of course, you had Fort Cass, which it's mainly known for. It was a very dark time. This is the outpost where all the Cherokee who were detained, stockaded, held like animals, and moved down the river and out to Oklahoma. But before that, there was so much more here. Like I was saying, John Walker, who I believe is the same John Walker, John Jack Walker, or Chief Jack Walker, we talked about he and where he's buried, or likely buried. He was the one who ran the ferry out here. And as well, you had Lewis Ross, the brother of Chief John Ross. And his home, for the most part, still stands to this day. We will be checking that out. But here in Charleston, you also have the Henniger House. It was the home of a Cherokee man, a Cherokee businessman, might I add. And you also had the Cherokee Embassy. You see, when you had people coming from the United States into Cherokee land, they had to go there to the embassy or the agency to get their paperwork signed to where they could get approved to go into the Cherokee Nation. So first off, we're gonna stop there. Now there's nothing left, but we can still go to the site where it was stood. So anyway, let's do it. Let's have some fun. Or historical, or let's go back in time. There we go. Here along Cass Street, where I'm standing at right now, by the way, there's Highway 411. This is where the Cherokee Agency once stood, or it was a series of 7 buildings that were in this area. Now obviously it's all private residences now, but this is where the agency stood. You got to think, just imagine all the American fur traders or people doing business in the United States with the Cherokee Nation. This is where they would have to go. Now it's a group of private homes. and right across the street from where the old agency once stood, here is the Charleston United Methodist Church, which, by the way, this is the oldest congregation in Bradley County, formed in 1824, and it was a Methodist mission within Walker's Ferry. Present day, obviously, I mean, it's a new building, but if you want to know some interesting church history within the belt buckle of the Bible Belt and some interesting Cherokee history, well, you can find it at Charleston United Methodist Church. Now this road I'm walking down right now, you guys, this is historic Highway 11. This used to be the main road that used to take people from Calhoun into Charleston, down into Cleveland, so on and so forth. But they changed the route of the road some time ago. There used to be a bridge not far from where we're at right now, but when they took that out and they moved the new Highway 11, this road in this neighborhood, this fairly quiet neighborhood, used to be the main highway. I mean, it's not anymore. But to get back to the Cherokee history, down on this road there are two historic Cherokee homes that are very well worth noting. Actually, they have to be noted just because of their significance. And one of them is right here. This home right here was the home of Lewis and Frances Ross. Lewis Ross was the brother of John Ross, the chief of the Cherokee Nation. This was their home. However, during the Trail of Tears, when they were forced out, they left with the Cherokee. And well, this house, it would later become the Barrett Hotel for a time. So not only was it the home of a very prominent Cherokee businessman, it was also a hotel. Now, there were a few fires in 1880 that did burn it significantly. So the house that you see now, about 90% of it is not the same home that was Lewis and his wife. And actually, interestingly, his daughter is buried across the river in a cemetery not far from here. And we're gonna check out her grave today, but real quick, let's check out the Henniger house. Now, here on the channel, I have covered the Henniger house once before, and that is because of its major significance with the Civil War. You see, when General Sherman was in Charleston, this was the home that they had their headquarters in. But before that, go all the way back to 1849, when Henry Henniger built the home. Now, Henry Henniger, he was the secretary for Chief John Ross, and he was the wagon master in the area, or for this area as well. And anyway, to this day, it still stands. So not only does it have a major significance to the Civil War, it is also a major Cherokee historic site, or a Cherokee historic home as well. You know, it's fascinating that even to this day it still stands. And I did have an opportunity, I'm hoping that I still have the opportunity. The family saw my video on that a while back, and they said I could check out the home, but it's an opportunity that I still haven't done yet. Now, for these next two locations that we will be going to, we have to drive outside of the town of Charleston to get to. And one of those is a very sad sight. And if you are familiar with it, or you may have heard the name before, it's Rattlesnake Springs. But that's where the Cherokee were brought together and forced out west. Very sad history. Now, we can't get far, mostly because it is on private property, but we can get close. Now, here along Highway 11 is the farm where Rattlesnake Springs sits now. Or to be more specific, as I was stating earlier, Rattlesnake Springs was the last encampment of the Cherokee before the Trail of Tears. So really, not only is this the last group of Cherokee to be moved out or to be forced out, but this is also where they had their last few meetings. This is where they had their discussions on what they would do once they reached Oklahoma. And really, I kind of wish that there was more of a historical marker here, because obviously you can tell it's a farm, but it's all private property and we can't really go to see the springs itself. But there is one home, one historic Cherokee home site that's here in the Charleston area. Now here just off to the side of the house, this home is the Wilson-Erwin house, and it was built in 1826 by Alexander Harvey Wilson. But Harvey, or Harv as they called him, he was married 2 times to two different Cherokee women. The first one was Swan, and she died at the age of 39. And his other wife, her name was Sally, and she was actually, I want to say she was sister or some really big relation to Chief John Ross. But the story goes that here at this home, they used to have Cherokee stickball games in the backyard. However, that's more of the legend as the story goes, but this home originated as a log cabin, and it was built onto as the years passed. But not long ago, well, when I say not long ago, about maybe 10-15 years ago, it was added to the Trail of Tears National Historic Trail. And again, it's private property. I actually door-dashed out to this house one time, and they were telling me about the cool history that associated with this house. But I figured, why not stop by? It's a little bit busy. There's not really a whole lot of good places to park, but I just wanted to talk about it real quick. Now, before we end this video, we are going to drive across the river into Calhoun, and there are a few very important graves that are associated with the Cherokee Nation and Lewis Ross, his family, and Walker's Ferry. You know, for a second there, I thought this was a grave. But no, this is actually the home site of Colonel Return J. Meigs. He was a Revolutionary War hero, and he was an agent to the Cherokee Nation. And he did it from 1801 to 1823. And this marker right here, this is where his home was, or one of his homes was. Now, historically, he died at the agency where all those homes were that we saw just a little while ago. But one could mistake this to be a grave, but no, it's actually it's a historic marker. Talk about interesting. And ironically, where we were just at, mistaking the historical marker of a home site for a grave, is the Calhoun Community Cemetery, where the grave of Gideon Morgan is buried, and as well as as Sarah Ross, the daughter of Lewis and Frances Ross, and the niece of John Ross. They're all buried here. And here's little Sarah's grave. Anyway, Sarah's full name was Sarah Elizabeth Ross, and anyway, she passed away when she was 2 years old, and sadly she got sick. but they buried here across the river here in the Calhoun Community Cemetery. But if you want to see her grave, well, it's right next to the road. Again, the same pamphlet that was made by the Museum Center at 5 Points. It took me all the way up to the Methodist Church, which is far up the road, but here's her grave. Little Sarah Elizabeth Ross. And not far from Sarah Elizabeth Ross's grave, here is the grave of Colonel Gideon Morgan. Morgan served under Andrew Jackson against the Battle of the Creeks between 1813 and 1814, and he allied himself heavily with the Cherokee during the Creek War. But he was also well acquainted with Chief John Ross and other notable members of the Cherokee Nation. But this is where he's buried, and you can't really see too well on his or what his headstone says, but it says 73 years old, which it's about really. I mean, there's other things online that shows a little bit more what his marker says. You see, there is another one here. Colonel Gideon Morgan, Cherokee Reg, or CDR, War of 1812. And here's his grave. And you can find both these graves at the Calhoun Community Cemetery here in Calhoun. Now, before we call it a vlog, you guys, there are 2 more locations that we are going to check out that are related to the Cherokee here in what became Charleston, Tennessee. And the last 2 that we will be checking out is the Joseph McMinn grave site and the Gideon Blackburn mission site. And we're going to call it a vlog for the day. And by the way, what a beautiful sun coming down. We got a little bit of time left, but it is so peaceful outside. You know, that's what I like about the Calhoun and Charleston area. Everything is close together. Like they're only maybe like not even a minute's walk from one another. Like where we just came from, the Calhoun Community Cemetery, marked by where the Calhoun Baptist Church is, right there, as well as the old house site right here. And it almost forms a pyramid because this is where the Gideon Blackburn mission once stood. Gideon Blackburn was considered to be the first missionary to the Cherokee people. And the mission that once stood here was built in 1804. I want to say it was dismantled after the Trail of Tears, after the Cherokee were moved out west. But not long after, the Shiloh Presbyterian Church was built here, and it was later burned down by looks like it was later burned down during the Civil War. And this marker here talks a little bit about it. In fact, this is what the Shiloh Presbyterian Church looked like, or as an artist's rendering. And just up the road from the Gideon Blackburn mission site, or did I say Blackbird? The Gideon Blackburn mission site, the grave of Joseph McMinn is buried in this nearby cemetery. Also, this is the original route that that many Cherokee men and women took on that very tragic move. But Joseph McMinn, he was an agent to the Cherokee people, and he was also the one who orchestrated the purchase in 1819 that bought up a lot of Cherokee land on the other side of the Hiwassee River. And I don't know if I've mentioned it, he was also the governor of Tennessee between 1815 and where's my brain today? 1821. There we go. And by the way, that purchase, if you're curious, was called the Hiwassee Purchase, and it was everything on the other side of the Hiwassee River. So really, not only is this Cherokee history, it's also Tennessee state history as well, because the obelisk right here, this is his grave. You cannot miss it. Let's see if we can find. Oh, here we go. Erected by the state of Tennessee in memory of Colonel Joseph McMinn, born in Westchester, Pennsylvania. I believe that says that right. June 22nd, 1756, and died October 17th, 1824. And also, McMinn, he is also, his last name is also the namesake for McMinn County. This man is both a controversial figure in Cherokee history, but also in Tennessee state history. He's also pretty important. And anyway, you guys, as the sun is going down, everything's getting colder. This is going to be another Native American Heritage Vlog month, or another Native American Heritage Vlog for another day. Remember, if you like the vlog, make sure to like and subscribe. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos like this. But anyway, guys, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, y'all.